Hey, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to the final review of the Rutger Hauer Marathon. Wonderful actor, may he rest in peace. When he played a villain, he could play an intimidating villain like the Hitcher. But when he played a good guy, he could play a fun bad guy like in a fun good guy, I meant to say. A fun good guy in Blade Fury, Wanted Dead or Alive, and a fun good guy in Split Second. This is the Blu-ray from overseas. I wish we had a Blu-ray in the US with a lot of features, interviews. This deserved all the trimmings. It deserved special features, documentary interviews with Rutger Hauer, maybe Neil Duncan, who played Detective Dick Durkin, maybe people who worked on the effects, production. You talk about how the original director Tony Maylam, he was either fired or he was too exhausted, depending on who you ask. And another guy, I believe it was Ian Sharp. I could be wrong on the name. He went in to direct the final parts of the film. And it'd be nice to know like all the details of that, like what all happened. Stephen Norrington had a hand in the creature effects in this. And if Stephen Norrington, if that name sounds familiar, this is the guy who go on to direct Blade with Wesley Snipes. And it's like, man, this I really like the design of the creature in this. I always thought it looked like Venom, and I don't know if this is going to show up on camera. Not really. Kind of like a creature, but it looked like he has a visor, or hellacious pair of sunglasses on. Yeah, even as a kid, I always liked that design. Now, the film, it takes place in London, takes place in the future because of global warming. The streets are being flooded. So it gives off a nice atmosphere where the streets are rainy and wet, and everywhere people drive, there's always water splashing left, right, and center. Again, it gives just a nice atmosphere to it. I would don't say dread, but that's not the right word. It just, you know how when Seven came out, you saw a bunch of movies where everything was wet and everything was, dripping water and rainy streets and that grit. You saw a little bit of that before in film like Split Second. And I guess originally this was a script called Pentagram, and it was a bit more of just a serial killer in LA who kills 5 people every 5 years during the last quarter of the century and always leaves a pentagram symbol after each kill. It was an action buddy cop horror film with occult overtones, but they said it was too similar to The First Power, which understandably so. It does sound exactly, well, almost exactly like The First Power, so they changed it to this. The writer wrote the script with Harrison Ford in mind for the lead, although he was happy that Rutger Hauer was cast. I mean, Harrison Ford would have been interesting, but he would never do this kind of movie. I'm glad Rutger Hauer did it because this is easily one of my favorite performances he's ever done. I love his character of Harley Stone, Detective Stone. This is a guy whose partner was killed long ago. He has a bad habit of keeping partners. Of course, he's a cop on the edge. But Rutger plays it with such a likability, with his eccentricities. Very eccentric character. He's always drinking coffee, always needs sugar, eating chocolate. He's always on edge. If he's such an expert, then what the fuck is he following me for? I mean, he goes up to a dog, it's like, police dickhead, and shows the dog his badge. I mean, it just, this has I would say a fun sense of humor. It's a serious horror film, horror sci-fi film. It's not a comedy. It's just, but like buddy cop films. There is a sense of humor, and I thought it's very humorous, very entertaining. And Rutger Hauer is a big portion of that. But also like Neil Duncan, I know he's also called Alastair Duncan. So however he goes by nowadays. But I like his character, Detective Dick Durkin. He's the new guy partnered with Rutger Hauer. Of course, he's the uptight guy, but throughout the film he changes. And that's a lot of fun seeing the change where he's not unlikable. He's not annoying at the beginning. He's just, a little bit of an uptight. He's uptight, but not a total wet blanket. He's just one of those things, following the book a bit, but you really get to see these two bond with each other. You really get to see these two sort of like each other, when they're having conversations. Uh, Dick Durkin shows Rutger Hauer that he's a fan of comic books and believes in psychic phenomena and has conversations to which Rutger Hauer goes, wait a minute, you have sex every night and run 5 miles every morning? Durkin, that's disgusting. Coffee. I need coffee. Where the fuck is my coffee? I'm sorry, I've seen this film so many times ever since I was a kid. It's a personal favorite of mine. It brings a smile to my face anytime I think about it because I love the atmosphere. The plot could be a bit confusing. I will give you that because the killer is he human? Was he at one time human and changed to a demon? Was he a demon all along? It's kind of ambiguous, mysterious, but part of you wonders if that's because of bad writing. But it doesn't bother me in the sense that maybe because I've enjoyed the rest of the film, maybe because I like the look of the killer, maybe because if they try to explain it, which they kind of do, but no matter where you go, it will be ridiculous anyway. And there is a scene where Dick Durkin is explaining it to Rutger Hauer and this police chief. And it's not really the dialogue, but it's the performances that make the scene a lot of fun. And then the police chief just gets pissed off. It's like, you're both out of your fucking minds. What, I'm supposed to put ABB looking for a guy with a pitchfork and a tail coming out of his ass? You pair of pricks. And that's where I got it. Anytime I think about Paramount and I call it pair of pricks, I stole that line from this movie where the police chief's like, you pair of pricks. Kim Cattrall, who has the haircut from Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, because she had filmed that, I think, right before this. And they didn't want to put a wig or anything on her, so it's like, okay, you got that haircut. She was the wife of his old partner, and you tell that her and Rutger have a connection. I like Kim Cattrall as an actress. Love her in Big Trouble in Little China. I thought she did a good job here. I guess you could say the film's gory, but it's more aftermath. There's some nice gory aftermath because the killer slash creature likes to rip people's hearts out. And I like that this is a demon-looking, venom-looking creature, but it thinks. And it fucks around with you like a serial killer. And that's something I always wanted to see in a movie. You take a creature that looks like a xenomorph or looks like, that type of creature. Not a humanoid, not someone who has only this difference or this difference between a human, but a full-blown creature, but they think and act like a serial killer. I always thought that'd be an interesting idea, and this is one of the closest I've seen that happening. And So it fucks around with Rutger Hauer's character. It sends to the police station this cooler, and they open up as a half-eaten heart. Or when Rutger goes to his place with Neil Duncan, he opens up the fridge, and there's a heart in his fridge. Or near the beginning when there's a victim in the bathroom, Rutger Hauer busts in. There's this message on the wall, on the sort of the ceiling that says, "I'm back." I always thought the way that was edited was pretty creepy, where it cuts between Rutger Hauer feeling something is up to the woman being scared. You have the scream. He busts in, and then you hear this like scream echo as he sees the message. I don't know how to describe it unless you see the film, but I thought that was a creepily edited sequence, especially when I was a kid. Maybe I'm not creeped out nowadays, but I still think it's a good scene. I also like the idea that because of this injury he got from the creature long ago, he's kind of psychically linked with the creature where he just gets these feelings. And maybe that's what leads to him always wanting sugar all the time. He always wants sugar, coffee and sugar. It's like he always, deep down, he always needs to be hyped up because of this. And at times the soundtrack will have this heartbeat sound, which I don't know why, but that's one of the creepiest sounds to me, a heartbeat, when you have a heartbeat on the soundtrack. I don't know why it creeps me out so much. I think because, everyone has a heartbeat, and when it stops beating, something is holy shit wrong. It's a weird way to describe it, but I still really enjoy the flick. I mean, I still really enjoy that. That's a sound effect that works very well in a horror film aspect. It's not an action film. I think if you go into it expecting an action film, you're going to be very, very disappointed. There's a couple of action beats. There's a little shootout where Rutger Hauer finds this woman dead, her ripped out, and the whole bathroom is covered in blood, head to toe in blood. There's one of my favorite scenes is in the morgue where they're walking around, and even this goes with a sense of humor. They think they see something, and Neil Duncan pulls his gun and says, "What are you eating?" And Rutger like, "Dick, he works here." But as they're walking, they start seeing blood drip down, and they realize the creature is above the ceiling. Like the tiles you see is kind of crinkling up and down as if someone is or something is walking on top. And then it busts down, and the reason it's called split second is because this creature moves so fast you could maybe see it only for a split second. The I'm trying to think. Oh, and then the finale, which I enjoyed the finale. I know a lot of people do not like the finale. They're disappointed in it, but I liked it. Yeah, I could use more action. I'll give you that. But what's there works very well, I thought. At the end, you get a little bit of, Rutger Hauer going, "Well, fry the fucker," and frying him. "Relax, pal." The creature puts his hand through this. It's like a broke down subway system, and it puts his hand through a subway car, is going through the top, chasing after Kim Cattrall's character. There's gunplay. There's, they use explosives. And how badass is this for this character? He punches through, rips the creature's heart out, takes a gun out and says "sweet dreams" and blows the creature's heart away into fucking pieces. That's pretty damn badass. And of course, I can't talk about this film without mentioning one of the best parts of the movie where Dick Durkin has seen the creature and he's kind of turned to the 180 where Rutger Hauer's character's at, where now he's psyched up and crazed as well. And just, drinking coffee, tosses it, grabs his chocolate. And he just kept saying before that scene, we need big fucking guns. And then after that, in this scene where he's now eating the chocolate, talking to Rutger Hauer, Rutger like takes the cigar, gives it to him, like, now we get bigger guns. And Dick Durkin goes, hallelujah. And walks off, and then Rutger Hauer sort of gives this look like, what? And then they're gearing up. He's looking through all the guns, and Dick Durkin's like, too fucking small. What the hell is he on? And Rutger Hauer's like, chocolate. And the guy's like, chocolate? And if you've never seen the film, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I'll be talking Greek to you. You're like, what the hell are you talking about, Matt? But if you've seen the film, I do think it's an underrated movie. I'm not the only one who likes the film. It does get a 6.2 on IMDb, which is pretty respectable considering usually films of this nature get a lot lower rating. But I don't know, this film was a big bomb. It did not even make back its budget when it came out. It came out in 1992, I think around May or something. This is, again, a Blu-ray from overseas. Not bad looking Blu-ray, to be honest. It does have, how do I put it? It has an, I believe this is the one that does, I can't remember. One of the Blu-rays has another version of the film on it. It might be this one, where it's like the Japanese VHS version, and that's only because there's a couple deleted scenes put back in. The deleted scenes aren't much, but it was nice to see for curiosity's sake. But it's mainly you get to see Neil Duncan's girlfriend that he talks about throughout the film. There's a handful of scenes with her in it. Also, there's a scene where I believe our characters are talking, and then the monster kills his jogger and rips his heart out, and they find the corpse of the man. So, I mean, that was nice to see. That was cool to see. I'm always fat. And Graham, it's not mind-blowing or anything like, oh my god, it's awesome, but it was cool to view that. At least it's something. But again, this should have like a commentary track, interviews with Rutger Hauer. I would love to have heard Rutger Hauer's his experiences working on the film. Would love to have heard that. But now that will never happen. I know there's talks of MVD doing a split-second Blu-ray. Well, too fucking late, man. You were too fucking slow. Because Rutger Hauer's no longer with us to share any thoughts on it. Unless by some miracle they interviewed him really, really early for, hey, we're going to do the interview now and put it in a vault and put it out later. But if not, shit out of luck. But yeah, the critics tore this film apart, which is bullshit. See, Pete Postlethwaite has a small role in this. This is a guy who's been in quite a few films. He was in Alien 3. He was in The Lost World, Jurassic Park 2. Just Michael J. Pollard. He's been a lot of stuff. He was Kurt Russell's. He didn't really know if it was his brother or some other relative in Tango and Cash. But he was a guy who gave them the truck for the finale. He was also in Scrooged. He was in Sleepaway Camp 3. He was in I Come in Peace. Uh, Michael J. Poehler is definitely a character actor that if you watch a lot of 80s or early 90s movies, you definitely recognize. And I like when you take the buddy cop genre and you mix it with the horror sci-fi genre. Like I Come in Peace, which is a favorite of mine. The Hidden, that's a good one. It would be nice to see more of those. I can't remember the last time there was a buddy cop film that also had the horror sci-fi angle. I cannot remember. Yeah. And, another thing I gotta mention is the wonderful musical score. Now it says here on Wikipedia there's two people, Francis Haynes and Stephen W. Parsons. But I love the musical score. I think it works very well, especially the main theme, how it starts. And I'm not even going to try to hum it. I'll fuck it up. You just type it up on YouTube. It's a really good score. Fits the film like a glove. And I know there's also a song used. I think it's called Nights in White Satin. Could be wrong on that. Decent song. It worked well for the scene that was showcased in. But yeah, I mean, the the plot story of like what the killer is a bit convoluted. I'll give you that. I'll give you that the film did need more action. I think that would have helped, at least at the time, people's perception of it. Because that was the thing that people said it was dull. I don't find it dull because, again, I like the environment that's showcased. I love the actors. I love the performances. I love Rutger's performance in this. I love his interactions with Neil Duncan. I love the two of them together, their back and forth, their dialogue. I love some of the bits of dialogue in this film. It was just fun hanging with these two characters. Again, the gory aftermath of the ripped out hearts, how do I put the musical score, the look of the creature. Again, I thought it was a really cool look for it. I'm trying to look up quotes. Oh yeah, there's a scene where the police chief is chewing out Harley Stone, Rutger Hauer's character, and naming all the weapons that he carries. Yeah, the police chief's like, if that's not paranoid, I don't know what the fuck is. Surprised you didn't have a grenade launcher. And Rutger Hauer goes, I couldn't get a permit. They even did Durkin's laughing, this isn't funny. And shuts did Durkin up. The only thing we know is that he's not a vegetarian. Paranoid people with guns are a menace to society. You'd be paranoid too if you had a dipshit like this following you. Oh, this is a great one. Uh, Neil Duncan's character says, I don't think this thing thinks it's Satan. I think this thing is Satan. And then Rutger Hauer goes, well, then Satan is in deep shit. This is what I was talking about before, the police chief when he's going off as the characters are leaving. What the hell am I supposed to do? Put an APB on some fucking guy who looks like the devil, answers the name Lucifer, yeah, and you. Suppose he got two horns sticking out of his fucking head. No fucking tail. Bugger out of the way with you. You pair of pricks. But I love this film dearly. I wanted to end the Rutger Hauer marathon specifically with this film because it's the Rutger Hauer film I grew up the most watching. Like I'm not. If I were to say which is my favorite film with Rutger Hauer in it, I would pick The Hitcher because of his... The Hitcher is one of those movies that does have his... To me, it's a very deep film in a good way. It can make you think and feel deeply, almost on a mythological note. You know, you have these films that get Oscar winning for Best Picture, and I'm like, some of these movies don't have shit on The Hitcher. If you want to talk about deep themes, deep meanings, deep thoughts. I mean, I talked about that in my review of The Hitcher, but even though I would say that's probably the best film with Rutger Hauer in it, this one definitely has a lot of fond memories. This might have been the first film I ever saw with Rutger Hauer. Because a lot of these other films, like The Hitcher, I saw later, probably in my 20s on VHS. Nighthawks I saw much later in life. Blade Runner I know I saw a bit later in life. But this is the one Rutger Hauer film I saw many times when I was a kid. So this introduced me to Rutger Hauer. And as a kid, just enjoying the characters, enjoying the dialogue, enjoying this manhunt they have against this cool-looking creature. Maybe because I did read Spider-Man comics. I'm like, that thing looks like Venom. They're going up against Venom. And sadly, this was like a better Venom than fucking Tom Hardy. I'd rather watch this than that movie. And it brings a smile to my face. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's... You watch it again, it made me sad. Only because a great talent, Rutger Hauer, has left us. And summing up, this is a guy who gave us quite a few damn good movies. I know I did not review all of his movies. There's other stuff I need to get to and want to get to. I know he's done films like, Lady Hawk and Flesh and Blood and things of that nature, but I just wanted to talk about a couple Rutger Hauer films. Maybe one day I'll go back and watch those other stuff. But the stuff I've seen him in, he's always got the presence as a hero. He had charisma, likability, sense of humor. As a villain, he was scary, intimidating, like in The Hitcher, Nighthawks. And like I say, you could play a great bad guy, and you could play a great good guy, like in this one. So, rest in peace, Mr. Rutger Hauer. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the damn good films. Thank you for Harley Stone. Great character. Would love to have seen a sequel to this. They don't have to go after this creature. It could have been a different creature. A different type of thing. I would love to have seen a Split Second 2. Like in 95 or 94 or something. I would love to have seen Split Second 2, but that was in the cards. But yeah, we did 3 fucking estate plan movies. Yeah, we did 3 fucking estate plan films, but we can't have a sequel to Split Second. Or Deep Rising 2, or some of these other films. Cobra 2. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, thank you, Mr. Rutger Hauer. Rest in peace. Thanks for watching. Take care. And next up, getting to some reviews of some movies people have sent me. See you guys later.